Hello one and all, and welcome to Behind the Glass. I'm your host, Sam, from the YouTube channel Seen Through Glass.
And I'm Tony from Gravelwood Car Sales.
Yes, you are. Each week we get together, we talk about cars, motorsport, F1, what else? Cars? We talk about cars. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can watch us on youtube.com/Behind the Glass. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And Tony, if people want to support this podcast, what should they do?
Watch it.
No. But also head to Patreon. You can support us on patreon.com/Behind the Glass. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We have to start with the big news. Lewis Hamilton! Seven-time, we're clapping, is that a thing? Seven-time world champion.
I hope he's watching this as well.
I know he is.
Greatest F1 driver ever.
Yeah.
Is that so? Earlier, Tony called me and he goes, "Who would you say greatest F1 driver ever?" So that's a right. Tell me now. So it's a difficult thing. No, tell me. So this was your big thing, was it? You researched so that you could say.
No. He is the best F1 driver ever. Simple facts.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would agree with you.
I am going to.
Yeah, I think it's hard to compare drivers from different eras and generations. But the reason that I say he's the best is winning percentage.
So that's a good little stat right there.
It's a good stat because the thing is, back in even Schumacher's day, they were doing 12, 13 races a year. Well, now they do 20. So he has a chance to win more Grand Prix. So the fact that he has won more Grand Prix than Schumacher, he's had the chance to win more Grand Prix than Schumacher because he's done more races.
Done less races.
To this point, yes, still has done less races than Schumacher over his entire career.
In every statistic, every single statistic.
No.
Lewis Hamilton wins.
Nice try.
So what one
Nice try. I knew you'd put your foot in it. I knew you'd try to do some research. He still doesn't have the highest winningest percentage because Fangio does. Because Fangio only took part in like 33 Grand Prix. So Fangio won more than half the races that he took part in. Hamilton's won more than a third of the races that he's taken part in, and Schumacher was, just less than a third.
So if I went and managed Chelsea and won my first game as Chelsea manager, I'd have a 100% win ratio.
Exactly.
And then I retired, I would then be the most successful Chelsea manager ever.
That's ridiculous. It's not a thing.
That is a thing. Also, there are a few records that Hamilton still doesn't quite have. No, because winning percentage is basically the only way you can judge across eras. There's no other way because, as I say, you can't say Hamilton is the best because he's got the most pole positions because he's had a chance to get more pole positions. He's been able to compete in more Grand Prix. Therefore, he just simply can add up greater totals. It's like point scoring. Nowadays, they get far more points for winning a race than they did.
He's done less races.
No, it's very close nowadays in terms of actual numbers of the races that they've competed in. It's still at 300 odd because they got 91 race wins at a similar time. So yeah, he's done 40 races less than Schumacher has done in his career. But don't forget, Schumacher came back for 3 years recently with Mercedes when they were doing more Grand Prix.
Schumacher raced 21 years?
Schumacher raced from 91 to 2013? 2012.
Hamilton 13.
Hamilton 13 years?
Yes.
Yes, no, okay, I see what you're trying to say here. You're trying to argue your point. But you have to look at it a percentage of races that they have entered.
Race points won.
No, race points one doesn't make sense, Tony, because what you don't know... No, because when Schumacher was winning, he got 10 points for a race victory. Hamilton gets 25.
Good.
So the total is much higher.
Because he's better.
He just drives nicer.
The problem is I know Tony is only doing this to upset me, and it's working a treat.
I don't like Lewis Hamilton.
I'm
not a fan. I'm a Vettel fan. But you cannot ignore the facts tell you that he is the greatest driver of all time.
No, yes. The opposite thing is I am a Hamilton fan. I'm one of the biggest Hamilton fans. But whilst, yes, he's won every single year he's competed, which no other driver has really done, and his winning percentage ratio is extremely high, second on the all-time list.
And the cars are faster.
The cars are... Okay, cool, good story.
Yeah, so you've got to be more of an athlete. I mean, look at James Hunt. He was pissed.
You're going to stir the pot there.
No.
I think he's onto something.
No,
really.
I am, mate.
The G-forces are higher, but the physical exertion, could you actually argue that someone like Mansell or Prost or Senna would have more to do with the manual gearbox and big turbos And I think you could easily say that they had to be physically stronger in a different era or stronger in a different way.
But to go round Copse Corner at Silverstone,
pulling
I mean,
5-6G.
No. In an old Formula One car, you could time it with a calendar. Do it in a current F1 car. I mean, it's not the same, mate. They go
I
around
would like to see you get in that old car and try and hold on.
No.
That's the difference.
Because he can't do manual.
No.
He can't drive manual.
No, but I think, look, I'll be the referee.
Please
here.
do, because I'm going to throw something at him in a second.
It just goes back to you cannot compare drivers in different eras.
Yes.
Formula One has evolved so much, and what was the pinnacle of racing back when Schumacher or Senna was racing? They were the best of their time. And I think Lewis Hamilton is currently the best Formula One driver of our time.
All time.
Potential. Well, I mean, actually, statistically, he'll get there and become all-time racing
Remember,
driver.
he's equalled Schumacher's championships. He hasn't beaten them yet.
He will.
He's got 40 races
Agreed.
in hand, which is 2 seasons.
I totally agree.
So when he gets to the same races that Schumacher, he might be 9-time world champion.
I would expect him to do so because he's going to win next year, isn't he? Hands down, easy.
So who's the best then?
No. Look, we're going to appreciate him more when he's not racing.
Yes, I think that's true. And as I say, I am a Hamilton fan. Like I'm fully.
I know.
And he's not.
And he's not. And statistically, you are right. There's an argument to say that he is now statistically the greatest racing driver of all time. His accolades precede him, etc. But there are still some stats and there's still some ways that you can look at it. And I think Paul's hit the nail on the head to say that you can't quite compare. You know, he's statistically the greatest driver of all the time.
That's the only way you can compare.
Oh, no, but you can't. That's the problem. I think actually the stats are why you can't compare them. Because if you put them all in the same car at their peak right now, firstly, they couldn't all drive in the same way. Look at Vettel and the blown diffuser, his era of dominating Formula One. The minute that was taken away, you could say that his ability didn't seem as great. He struggled to be as dominant in other cars because he lost that key component. With Hamilton, it seems to be his tyre management is what absolutely rules the roost. Schumacher didn't seem to have very good tyre management because he was the master of bashing in 25 qualifying laps again and again and again. So, and then Fangio, as I say, like he's racing things that
Just
look like horse and car. Yeah. Well, also, he was 10 years older than all of them. So statistically, it's very hard, I think, to judge different eras. But Hamilton, yes, in my mind, is now top 3 of all time with Hamilton, Schumacher and Fangio. Senna, everyone's going to beat me up about, but
I don't think Senna's in there, mate.
I thought you were going to say Eddie Jordan there.
He wasn't even a driver. Let's move on because I realise a lot of people aren't into their Formula One and I've literally bored everyone by getting a bit angry and heated under the collar there. Tony, you successfully achieved what you wanted to achieve. Well done, you nonce. To now go in a little bit on you because that was unfair of you to gang up on me like that.
Are we going in on him or me?
No, sorry, on Tony.
Oh, excellent.
You're next.
You literally are. Well, actually, this could backfire on me because what I wanted to address was something that came up in the comments a bit last week, and I've had some messages on Patreon about, which is why does Tony hate modern classics so much? Because it's something that, you know, it does come up.
Question.
It does come up regularly on this show that you
Yeah.
really only like new things.
Correct.
And in your mind, every new model and new variant is better. And I think it would be a long time before you ever bought a car that's maybe 10, 15 years old.
He's a number plate slob.
Correct.
And I was hoping, Paul, you would back me up on this. And you'd be like, yes, I dove into that modern classic life. I bought my LP640. What a dream. But we should probably address the elephant in the room. In the fact that the dream went horribly wrong a few months ago when we were in Scotland.
No. Well, it kind of did.
So, for those that may not have seen the Pelotti series over on your channel, give them a brief overview and then how it all kind of came tumbling down a few months ago in
Basically,
Scotland.
there was a fire.
No, there wasn't. I collaborated with Pelotti to create the best road trip possible given our current living circumstances. So myself, Sam, Alex and Josh went up to Scotland in the Lamborghini, the Nissan GTR and the BMW M2 competition, and on day one, within the first 10 minutes of our GoPros rolling, my Lambo stopped working.
In quite a dramatic way.
Hey, it's an Italian car. The doors go up. Everything's dramatic.
Well, what I love is right back at the beginning of the summer when lockdown 1 ended, we went out to film with the 360 and the LB640. The first time we got these two cars together, you know, our modern classics, this kind of era that we'd really engaged with. And we both sat at lunch and went, this is the best thing in the world. Like, our dreams have come true. It's sunny. We have these cars that we adore. The fact that we get to drop them back off in secure storage after this is wonderful. Like, it's brilliant. And you went, you know what? I'm going to bring this car to Scotland. And I went, whoa. I agree we're having really a great time, but you've got ahead of yourself there because your car in Scotland is going to be a disaster. For some reason, you didn't listen. And when your car went up in smoke and a real cloud of smoke,
You shut up, Tony.
I couldn't help but revel in the moment and also voice note Tony immediately.
It felt like he was there. The amount that he was on the phone, it felt like he was
the funniest thing.
You were the ultimate troll. But yeah, we did all see it coming. And I guess to give it a bit more context, we were doing some flybys for Josh, who was there helping film. We'd done quite a few successfully, and it almost felt like you doing a watch this moment where you were like, one more, guys, I'm giving it the full beam. And then as you pulled for like second or third gear, this plume of smoke came pouring out the back, but luckily we pulled over, and actually it's turned out to not be that dramatic. But the question I wanted to ask is, has that taken away slightly from your love, your appreciation, your preparedness to own a modern classic?
No, I don't think so, because I think owning that car is so special. Given how much I drive it, every single time I get in that car, it is special, that it creates its own memories. So it doesn't matter whether it's a high or a low. The fact that that was such a low moment, I know the next time I get in it is going to be such a high moment. And I think that's the best way to describe what it's like owning a modern classic. Like, I totally understand where Tony comes from in his love for new cars, for an A to B car. But when you just want to get out and you love driving, and there is one particular car that hits that spot for you, then that also supplies a different level of excitement when you get behind the wheel of it. So for me, I kind of knew that it was going to come with the Lambo because I didn't drive it for a year whilst it was getting painted. I was
Drive it at all?
Because it was getting painted. It was down to bare metal.
I've never seen you in it.
I've seen him stood outside it whilst this plume of smoke came on.
I've seen that as well. You filmed it.
I think that's why it's so funny, because we did film it. And I think sometimes when things were to go wrong on YouTube, most people put their cameras down.
Oh, honestly, I had to applaud you in that moment, because if that was the 360, I would have cried. I would have been really rude to everyone, and I would have left. It's not coming, mate.
Yes, it is.
Jog on. How's your GT3 RS? Has that gone up in smoke? Yeah. Oh wait, you sold it because you're a douchebag.
And it never let me down. And I'd done 9,000 miles, and I had just as much fun as what you two would have in 10 minutes in your.
Yeah, but the difference being, and I think this is what I want to touch on, is firstly to say I will applaud you, because you did say film this as your car went up in smoke, which I definitely wouldn't have done. But it's that I think you lack the opportunity to have an emotional connection, Tony. I think you see these as, oh, yeah, it's great. Oh, 488 is the best car in the world. But literally that. Well, you have said that many times before on this podcast.
I said I don't say the best car in the world. But I said
you did. You said it was the fastest car around the track.
I think you have said that. But I think the point being that you are so in on the newest is the best, the fastest, it's always better. Like our whole 718 versus 981 GT4 argument is that you seem void of this kind of emotional connection. Like the only time you've ever talked about any car with a bit of lust or a bit of excitement that's old is an Enzo. And even then you're like, I don't really want to drive it though. I just kind of want to look at it as a thing.
Correct. Because that's all he's done in 2 years. Just look at his car. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't drive it.
Beautiful looking car.
You were going to explain why Tony's in on the Enzo.
Because of what he does for a living.
Fair.
The cars really are just a lump of cash.
Correct. No. That's not true.
Yeah, or a Rolex.
Because of what I do for a living, I know how bad modern classics can be. And I haven't got the time to be sodding about putting a modern classic back together. I just have a new
You've got
one,
loads of time. It's like 3 p.m. Shouldn't you be at work?
Well, This is like work now.
Well said, Tony. Well said. But I think that I get what you're saying. You don't want the hassle. You don't want to have to do the maintenance. You don't want things to go wrong, especially with your mentality. You know, if you want to go to a drive or a meet or an event, the last thing you want to do is broken down on the side of the A3.
I just want to go.
Totally get it.
So
Fine.
many videos of his 360 going wrong on the way to a meet.
Do you remember when the floor fell off one point? Hey, but I stopped at Halfords, fixed it myself, and on I went. It's a memory I'll never forget. But the thing being that I think, and I get that, but firstly, the cost to entry of new cars is always theoretically so much higher. Okay, fine, sometimes the maintenance is lower. But I think sometimes you're a bit blinkered in this. Like, it was like your whole argument that the Veyron's crap. And you've also touched on the McLaren F1 being crap, which I keep saying we cannot talk about in this podcast because someone will come and burn the studio down. Also, can I just clarify? I don't agree with that. No, I don't agree with that statement.
Can I?
No. We're not doing this.
I mean, it is crap.
Can we please step back before we get completely ruined in the comment
You
section?
bring it up.
But what I'm saying is that I think sometimes, you don't allow yourself to acknowledge that cars have been great of a previous era. They have been great at one moment. They've given something different to a modern car. Fine, the new car might be more reliable, might be more usable, might be faster, whatever it might be.
Enjoyable.
But there's still an element to older cars. You're kind of completely washing over history at that point. And it brings me on to a point that I wanted to come on to a bit later, which is the news that in 2030 now, here in the UK, they're going to try and ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars. At which point, if you want something with a combustion engine, you're going to have to go old. It's going to be your only option. And I feel like, Tony, that's going to be like the death of you because you're going to go, I'm going to have to go and buy a 2007 Porsche. What a nightmare.
Well, no.
No, he'll just buy a 2029 something.
Correct. There you go. That's exactly what I'll do. The very last of them. And at that point, I'll be happy to have a modern classic at that point because the option is electric. No, thank you.
Do you know what car you should own? Scud.
430 Scuderia.
Yeah.
Ferrari.
Well,
That's the car that you should have.
No, I've spoke about them quite a lot. But, mate, they are so unreliable.
That's they go wrong.
They're so slow as well. And you know
Mate,
what?
so
Put a
slow.
supercharger on
Who
it then.
are you? Where are you going that a 430 Scuderia is so slow?
It is.
Mate, you're mad.
I like things to work. You ask it for a gear and it's not coming.
No, okay, fine. I realise that especially
One of the best things about that car
the
is
gearbox is, well, it's dated, but it's got feeling, it's got character. So, hey, each to their own
Which
in
is
that
good
sense.
bit.
But you can't sit here and say a Ferrari from, 10 years ago-ish, 12 years ago probably, is slow. It's still 0 to 60 in what? Sub 4, if not 5 seconds at least. It's 180, 200 miles an hour, something like that.
Hot hatches that do that now, mate.
But, mate, where are you going where you need to go faster? What are you doing?
But that's what I'm saying. I'd rather have the modern hot hatch is not going to let me down.
So you'd rather have an A45S over a Scuderia?
No. What I'm saying is
Thank you.
It's my opinion. Whether
fine.
I just like modern cars. That's it. My reasons are modern classic cars are crap. They just break.
Well, you can't say. I don't even know where to start on this. Yes, you're pointing at Paul because of his Lamborghini.
And you.
What has gone wrong with my 360 apart from the floor falling off?
Exactly.
Hey,
I've never had a fall off of any of my cars.
You had a GTR, a brand new Mercedes GTR, which brakes faded or disappeared after one track day.
2
track days. It's a track car.
It's crap.
Well, there you go. And it was a brand new car.
Correct. But your car wouldn't have lasted half a lap.
But it's given me more enjoyment over 3 years than that car did in 6 months.
What car?
Your GTR.
No, I love my GTR.
Spent 3 months in Mercedes. You having an argument with the board.
It did because I bang out of order.
I've never had to have an argument with Maranello.
No, because it wouldn't have it back.
I think you'd get shot if you tried to have an argument with them.
Get it out.
Excuse me, Ferrari. The floor fell off the 360. Go away. Leave us alone. Go buy a Lamborghini. Anyway, okay, well, look, let's move on. I think you're totally right. Everyone's allowed their own opinion, of course, and that's the big emphasis on this podcast. We're never here to attack people's opinions. Yours is wrong, but we're going to let you keep it. So moving on to new cars, there have been a few that have been unveiled in the last sort of week or so.
Yeah, the new Lambo.
What? There's a new Lambo?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Has it been unveiled?
No, it's the STO. It's
Oh,
basically
the Super Trofeo Homologato.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about this quite a while ago, actually, because we found out it was happening. So what do you know more? What's been teased? Talk to us, Paul.
I don't know anything.
Basically, they haven't pulled the covers off it yet.
No.
Can I say welcome to the podcast? Because you're not out of place knowing nothing.
I've heard some rumours, and basically they're going after GT2 RS.
Yes.
But obviously with no turbo. So it'll be an NA V10. It's going to be absolutely wild. I don't know whether it's going to be rear-wheel drive. I'd love it to be rear-wheel drive because I'm a drifter.
You were for about 4 months.
Maybe 3.
That went well.
To clarify for a second, so this is theoretically the street or the road legal version of the Super Trofeo race car.
Yeah.
We've seen it before with the Gallardo, arguably the most desirable or the sort of most chased after version of the Gallardo, the STS, Super Trofeo Stradale.
Yeah.
And this is the Super Trofeo Homologato, i.e. hinting towards a homologation special. I don't think it's going to be quite to that extent, right? We're not looking at this as a homologated car. It's probably just going to be a road-going variant of the race car.
It'll be wild.
It should be cool. I know a guy who races, as do you, but we know different people, who race the Super Trofeo Huracans, and I think they got the first offer. I think that's who Lambo went to at first, saying, look, we're doing a road version. Do you want a slot? And he was like really tempted, but then thought, well, actually, maybe it's going to be a bit too much. But I don't think it would be too much. I think it's what Lambo need, don't you? Like a completely crazy, wild aero everywhere. This could be up your street, Tony. You had a Performante.
I'm not buying another Lambo. Not buying another
Why
one.
not?
Because I only want one car. That's it. I'm not buying any more.
Why would you not buy a new Lamborghini though? You like new cars.
No, I wouldn't buy. I do love new cars.
Yeah.
But I only like.
It's probably going to have an 80 plate.
Yeah.
No.
It's right up your street. Did you have a bad history with a new Lamborghini or something?
I lost a load of money. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It doesn't happen so much with the modern classics.
But I don't care about it because you couldn't afford to lose the money I lost. So go away.
Well, so,
Well,
would you
wait
honestly?
a minute.
Go on.
What I lost on the Lamborghini, I could have bought your Ferrari and had change.
Fine. You would
It's
have
actually not funny, is it?
lost it.
It's gone.
You lost it.
But that's what I'm
you burnt
saying.
It.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Oh, do we swear on this podcast? Was that?
And we now do.
Oops, thanks, Tony. That's lost 3 sponsors this week. So you wouldn't be tempted by this because you did like that Performante where forget losing the money. It's like the 570S argument. Forget the horrific selling moment. The actual car to drive, to enjoy. You really enjoyed that Performante.
I liked it, but I wouldn't buy another one.
Because you kind of been there, done that type thing.
Tick the box.
Correct. And I'd rather a GT2 RS, which is the only car I want at the moment. I don't want any other car.
Based on Huracan's track history, do we think that this car will perform well value-wise, demand-wise, or do you think it's actually going to just be a bit like meh?
I would like it to be in between where the perfs sat originally because they were really strong for like the first 6 months and then all of a sudden they just built them all.
Yeah.
But then you look at something like the AMG GTR, which is like a track version of the AMG GTS, and then the AMG GTR Pro, which has just rapidly depreciated in the last, 6 months? And you can go onto Auto Trader now and buy cars that have done like 200 miles and no one wants them.
It's like a 600 LT is the same.
Yeah.
And we did a whole episode talking about track specials and whether maybe now this kind of buzz has gone away from them. But that's what I mean. It sort of feels like with the Huracan, a bit like with the Gallardo, and you're so right with the AMG GTR. Once you start making too many variants, people start to, I think, not really understand which is the greatest one. Why would I buy this one? What does that do that's different? And nowadays, there's not that sort of, oh my God, people are selling them for 100 grand over list. That's the one to have. It's just not really happening. So I worry that with this Super Trofeo Omologato, no matter how special it is, it might just...
I think short term it will. But I think then in 10, 15 years' time, it will be the only one to have.
Okay.
Because I think the perfs will start to blur into just the general 610s and 580s. And then I think the really limited, the most track focused, probably the ones that are going to be looked after the most, let's be realistic, go into collections and stuff, they will then start trading in auctions for more money. I think they're the ones that are most likely to increase after the depreciation.
The biggest problem with the Performante as well, which is probably going to be the problem with this new car, is too loud for tracks and stuff. I mean,
interesting.
I mean, it even get thrown off the Nürburgring. I mean, the Nürburgring is you can be really loud and they even get thrown off there. So if they're going to sell it as a track car, I mean, what track are you going to be able to take it on? You're not.
No, it's one of those sort of things where, as you say, track car, but actually not for track, just road car that looks kind of mad.
Oh, yeah.
It would just be a fancy collection for a collector's car.
Which
Good
is
point.
a shame.
Which is a shame. But let's wait and see. Hopefully more details soon. We'll be able to talk about a little bit more. Something which we can talk about more now, Tony, because the reveal has happened rather than us trying to work out what it's going to be, was the new Ferrari that got launched last week.
Bit of an embarrassment.
So, Paul, you would have not known about this. Last week, Tony and I were reviewing an invitation I'd received to a launch of a new Ferrari that promised great, extreme, new... just a lot. And we were imagining, what could this be? What did it turn out to be?
The SF90 Spider.
Spider. They've taken the roof off. So it's literally the SF90 Spider, 100 kilos over an SF90, so heavier, £425,000.
What's the point?
I mean,
Who cares?
Yeah.
such a shame. I mean, it was coming. We kind of all knew it, I guess, to have built up to that much. I don't know.
I'm beginning to lose my love for Ferrari.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it.
Because they are becoming like McLaren. There's a new model every 10 minutes, and it's just becoming a little bit of a joke now. And even the owners, mate, like, I think people are just getting pissed off with it.
I think a lot of people are getting pissed off with it. I think, can I say, though, yes, they're becoming like McLaren, but also like Porsche.
Yeah.
Because we also discussed last week that review of, future coming Porsches, and they're churning cars
Different
at the moment.
price
I thought we
bracket,
liked
mate.
Porsches here.
No, we love Porsches. We're going to
Porsches.
come on to that in a
Cool.
second, because obviously...
Different price bracket, mate.
Paul's about to buy a Porsche. Different price bracket, yes, but so Lambo, fine, standing by themselves, make one or two cars, great,
Because that's all they can sell.
sure. McLaren and Ferrari, or Ferrari copying the McLaren model, McLaren copying the Porsche model, whatever it might be, it's that thing where I guess they feel like there's demand. I guess
Isn't it just shareholders?
Well, yes, of course, there's that as well, which plays a part of it. Like,
Huge.
gotta get the numbers on the books, but people will buy that SF90 Spider.
They will, yeah.
They might not have a choice.
They won't buy the.
Because Ferrari will come up and say, "Oh, sir, you're having an SF90 Spider."
But they won't sell the coupe now. People just go, "I'll just wait for the Spider."
Have they delivered any coupes yet?
I don't think so, no.
There's some demonstrators,
Right.
just about.
It's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like when they released the F8 Tributo. Literally 10 minutes later, they released the Spider.
Well, I've got the Spider in a few weeks, and I'm
got one
with.
on order.
No, Tony's the one who buys all the hypercars on this podcast. So I've got a lone F8 Spider in the car, and I'm really nervous.
It's the yellow one, isn't it?
The yellow one.
Oh my god!
When's
I'm
my
really
Jumeirah
worried.
coming?
When's your Jumeirah coming? You tell me, mate. 2025?
I think it's 2029.
Is it?
2029?
No,
Just
it's
before the new car. We can't remember what else you ordered. You ordered something else recently. We can't remember what it was.
Koenigsegg.
No. Or was
Didn't
it-
order that one?
Don't think so. No, that is a Jumeirah. It is a Koenigsegg.
Oh, okay. That's the one I got.
Moving on. But I'm nervous about the F8 because I haven't really been that excited by the idea of one yet. And all the reviews that have come out have been a bit iffy.
And the one that you're going to have is terrible. I've seen it on the road.
You've seen it on the road.
Yeah, it's
so
Really?
awful. It looks like a Lotus, but
I'm
like
worried. Let's wait and see.
Well, I'm just worried about the brand, full stop. I just
Yeah.
don't like where they're going. And as well, if they are copying Porsche's market is a lot bigger than Ferrari's anyway. Their customer base is huge compared to Ferrari's. And different price points. If you're trying to get 100 grand off someone, it's a lot easier than trying to get 300, 400 grand off someone, which is why no one buys Pistas. Because they're 300 odd thousand pounds. There's like nearly 40 advertised on the internet.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
Tons
And they
of
keep turning up. I keep saying, oh, look, it's this tailor-made Pistos just arrived. You're like,
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one. Well, speaking of Porsche, it is a perfect time to segue onto a meaty topic that we wanted to get into today, because something weird has been happening over the last, would you say I wouldn't say months, maybe the last few weeks, maybe months.
No. It happened when I was down at NVN London. This is where it happened.
Okay, so basically, at this table, there is one man who...
No, there's three men
No.
love Porsche.
He's got a Mercedes at all.
One man at this table who for a very long time has always been very negative towards Porsche, so much so that when I said, do you want to come and drive my 911 Carrera T for a video, he went, no.
Yeah, but you did also for your Ferrari.
Good point.
I mean, I love Porsche, and I didn't even want to drive that Carrera.
It's back for sale.
What?
The guy
Probably.
bought it off you, put it back up for sale.
Has
for
he?
quite a lot more than he paid for it, so I'm a bit
Oh,
upset.
really?
Keeping an eye on that, Tony, because
Freaky.
if he sells it for a ton of money, then we're going to have words. but no, anyway, to cut to the chase, recently over WhatsApp and face-to-face, Paul has been talking a lot about his new kind of desire or thought or temptation gravitation towards owning or running a Porsche on the channel. So, like you say, it started at MVN. How, what, when, where, why?
Well, I would say my detest for Porsche came from when I was in London. I was like a 15-year-old kid. I saw them every day. They sounded flat. They looked boring, and they were just getting driven around. I was like, oh, Porsches are so boring. All I want to see is a Ferrari or a Lamborghini because I know that's what's going to make the cool content. So from there, I got bored of Porsches. Then when I did my first supercar, when I was looking at buying a sports car, I went out in a Porsche Boxster and I got a taste of understanding just what they are as a product. When I was at NVN, I was surrounded by all of these Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, like the best of the best. And then JWW's Turbo S comes in, and James said to their head detailer, can you go over the car, check out all of the imperfections, because then we're going to do a video on how NVN as a company paint correct, basically, because cars turning up from the manufacturer and the factory sometimes aren't perfect.
Ferrari and Lambo are common for it.
Ferrari and McLaren.
Oh,
Lamborghini, because of the Audi quality control, Lamborghini aren't too bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, Affa spent an hour around this Turbo S, and he was like, if we touch this car, we'd make it worse.
Yeah.
We know, Tony. We know this.
Yeah, you guys know.
That's a 2004 car. I mean, apart from a few dings and bings, it's looking great.
And he would say exactly the same thing. I'm not touching that.
Well, he can touch that one. I'll be honest. There are a few dings and bings.
So this whole video that James had was going out of the window because they couldn't show the process of what happens when a new car turns up.
The imperfections.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, like the build quality on this is amazing. And then I actually drove it. And James said, oh, you've driven it further than I have. And inside it was so smart. And I was like, do you remember when you drove the 992 in Monaco and I got in it? I was like,
you loved it.
God.
You loved it. You said either on or off camera, this is the first Porsche that I've really liked.
Yeah.
I said, that's funny. It's the first Porsche I haven't liked
that much. and so basically since then, I have spent my entire free time on Auto Trader looking at all of the Porsche variants because I drove a 991.1 GT3 that had like a fully straight piped exhaust, and I think I made the video like, should this be my first Porsche or something generic like that. And I'm thinking about exploring the world of Porsche even more than I did back then.
Good.
See, good. I agree, but I have a concern because I don't know what you've based this. I know you like this idea of build quality, and maybe it's because of your Lambo situation that's pushed you towards wanting something solid and reliable. Yeah.
I rest my case.
But I actually don't think you'd be happy with a Porsche.
No, because it works.
No, it's not because it works. I just don't think, because fundamentally, you actually are a cruiser, Paul. You are happiest, probably were happiest
as well.
You were happiest in your AMG GT.
Oh, I love that car.
Bumbling along.
What a car.
You love that GTR because you're just cruising away. And I think Porsches, whilst they are good at that, for sure, everyday sports car, they are still quite firm. And it's more everyday driver's car.
I didn't tell you which Porsche I was going to buy.
No, but I'm talking about all Porsches. I mean, you could go and buy Cayenne, fine, you'll be very happy. But I'm talking any kind of Porsche sports car. Because even my Carrera T, Vicky will not let me forget the fact that it was pretty brutal on the ride, like during Drive the World. It wasn't the comfiest car ever.
992's not like that though, mate.
No, fine. 992's not like that, but I don't think he's rich enough for a 992. So
yes, he's all right.
I might be wrong, but I'd be sure here we're going to be talking about quite an old Porsche. No, but I'm just basing it on the conversations we've had previously about some of the cars that you considered or were sending me links to, and not many of them were 992s. And so that's my concern. I would love to welcome you with open arms into the amazing community that is the Porsche community, but I just worry that you're going to get it in a month's time. You're going to be like, oh, it's just a bit too focused.
Is my initial worry, without even driving that many Porsches, is even if I was going to go down a Cayman GT4 route, which I probably will say on a number of future videos, you can buy some pretty decent cars for 95 grand. And I know that the GT4 is a phenomenal car, primarily a track-focused car. I'll be driving it all the time on the road. You look at AMG GTR, you look at Aston Martin Vantage, you look at Audi R8 V10 Plus, and it terrifies me, even though from a sensibility point of view, the GT4 is probably a better investment.
Probably not, actually.
Not the new ones. But
okay.
If you've got a 981, then you'd be all right.
Oh yeah, because they're like what?
No, they are. They are still strong, you know, because the residual values on the new car, on the 718 Cayman, on finance, after 4 years,
It's like 55, 50,
like 62 grand
Wow.
or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so
Mate,
if you're
they're
looking to
still
finance them,
really
you can do all right.
Honestly, the any GT4, whether you have a 981 or a 718, your money is safe. They're like £1,000 a month, not a load of money in.
I'll tell you what they are. It's $5,000 in, about £1,000 a month.
That's it.
I got it.
Nine
Yeah,
£900 odd a month. I mean, they are for nothing.
Yeah.
For it to get into Porsche.
Is it controversial to say that I want a PDK GT4?
A little bit.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
50-50.
it's going to be quicker.
It's going to be different though.
It's going to be
All
very
we've ever
different.
had
I'd be
is-
intrigued. I would love to drive a PDK GT4.
There's
And
an RS coming.
there is an RS
Yeah,
coming,
but that's going
as
to be
we know.
so stiff.
Yes, please.
Yeah, like that's the thing is, I think the cars that you and I, Tony, would get excited by. I don't know why. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and maybe I'm doing you a disservice here. I just feel like it's not. Like I kind of see you more in a 991 or 0.1 or 0.2 GTS modding the hell out of it. Like big exhaust, but still got the comfort and the usability. I don't know why. I just don't see you in a GT3 or a GT4.
But you didn't
or
like Porsche 3 years ago.
No, I didn't.
You was where he was 3 years ago. Now look
Completely
at you.
agree. Completely agree. But what I would say is I always liked the characteristics that I didn't realize a Porsche had. That was the things. You know, I like cars that are focused, are about one thing, are,
yeah.
you know, whilst traditionally, I mean, you love that GTR because it's really fast, but very easy just to be chilling in. It's got
So soft.
soft armchairs, you know, like, so you're happy and
Do you know what that alarm's for?
go on, you set an alarm on your phone, did you?
At 4 p.m, Porsche Design have a collaboration with Puma.
They do.
And that was 5 minute.
That's how much of a Porsche fan you're in?
I want a pair of Porsche trainers. I'm not joking.
To drive your Nissan.
Well, speaking of Porsches that you could have bought, did everyone see the concept cars that came out or that Porsche revealed over the last?
I did actually.
Yes.
So these were super cool. Basically, Porsche said that, you know, over the last 15 years, we actually done some sort of concept work, some design work that never really came to much. And so we just kind of bin them off. And anyway, now we want to share them with you, which is kind of like a bit like, well, cheers, guys. You know, like,
This is what we could have had.
yeah, this is what it could have been.
Although some of them were horrendous.
Well, some of them were weird. The 919 Street,
Yes.
the potential road
Yeah,
legal version
that's the ultimate one.
of the Le Mans car was like, oh my God. Because what I love about that is someone's just gone, should we put one of these on the road? And someone's gone, you know what, mock it up. Let's see what it looks like. It's just the fact that at some point they just half considered it. Even if it was like, we'll never do it, but let's see what it comes up with.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. And that's why I like Porsche, because they are always thinking in these kind of ways and doing things. And it's not always about what, you know, it's what we can sell. Like, what do people want? We'll build it. If there's enough people asking for it, we'll come and build
They
it.
build
right?
cars for their customers.
They
There we
really,
go.
they
That's what
really
they do.
wanted to do the 918 RS. They
Yes.
really wanted to do it. But the numbers that they wanted to produce just didn't financially make sense because to create what they wanted to create cost so much money. They'd have even had to have built far more to sort of get to the price levels that they needed to get to, or it was just going to be far too expensive, so they binned it.
And you know,
Bit of
Porsche.
Porsche knowledge. Wow.
Very good.
Well
You
done.
know, Porsche, they're very clever as well with their marketing. So I would not be surprised. They've released all them cars. I wouldn't be surprised they keep an eye on and they make one of them. They actually make one
good point.
Because they're
Good point.
very,
there
very
was
clever at that.
one which was I couldn't find. I tried to find earlier, which they did make, which was the sort of box to Spider racing.
Oh, yeah.
Because they took it to I nearly went to film it at an event last year. I can't find it now, but
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, there are a couple that have made it to some kind of form. I think. Interesting to see. We'll keep an eye on it for sure. And Paul, like, hey, we're here to support you on your journey of potential Porsche.
yeah.
I don't know what.
918.
Well, okay, so this is what I just thought, right? 918s, what a bargain, because they keep advertising around like 1 mil. I think they're going to keep trickling down, just quietly trickling down. At what point do you go, heck, I've got to buy that car before it F40s me and they're worth 5 mil again? Like, do you not think that 918, or is it going to be a point where the technology is actually just going to sort of die and they're going to become unrunnable?
It's the batteries on them at the moment. You know, for Porsche not to warrant a part on one of their vehicles, kind of
Nail in the coffin.
yeah.
Then just have it as a living room piece.
Yeah.
I just think it's such a good car. Like, I don't think it's necessarily beautiful enough to put as a living room piece.
Just sell it for
£1
parts.
million. No one wants that battery. But like,
100 grand the batteries are.
100 grand.
So if they come back to a point where you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to put batteries in this at some point, and you can justify spending the 100 grand, that's when you buy them. And then when you put a new set of batteries in them, they're going to go back up again.
Because Carrera GTs are catching up with 918s in terms of values.
Ones with no miles on, yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, of course, but that's what. But the fact that they're getting close, and what a different car, like completely different mentalities and ethos and everything. But I just think that 918 is such a steal in comparison to a LAF or a P1, even though P1s are kind of a mill now as well, aren't they?
Out of the three hypercars, as an all-round car, I think the 918 is the best one.
Yeah, we've spoken that.
We spoke about that a lot. So yeah.
It's the most usable.
Yeah.
Which one would you have, Paul?
Good question.
It's always a tough one, isn't it?
It is. I think just because you got to have a load of money to even buy one.
So
P1.
You idiot. I knew he was going to, because he
tit.
can't say Ferrari.
I thought he was going to go there. I thought he was going to go, you know what, laugh. But I knew it.
I nearly went there.
I know, I could see it in your eyes. I was like, he's going to do it.
Because V12.
I'll then take the engine out and put it in my GTR.
I definitely do want to do an engine swap.
Oh, God, please leave us alone. Well, look, let's talk about the fact that we touched on it earlier. There is potentially quite depressing news that maybe in the next few weeks the government here in the UK are going to be announcing the ban of new petrol and diesel car sales from 2030. This was originally mooted for 2040. They're now bringing it forward by about 10 years with the thought that hybrids could continue to sell into 2035. Now, this hasn't been confirmed yet, but I think let's take our petrol hedonism away for a second. Just think about people, because new car sales are declining, right? This is the thing. People aren't always out there to buy cars these days. Ubers and things like that have taken away the demand. But it seems premature. I don't think the automotive industry or the electric car or hydrogen fuel cell infrastructure is in place enough, or could be in place in 10 years, to scrap that.
No way.
And then at that point, do used car sales start to go through the roof? Or are we going to be taxed so heavily to run petrol and diesels that they were basically being forced into these electric cars that we're not going to be able to run because you can't stop and charge them because there's not going to be enough charging points or, whatever it might be. Basically, is this the end? Is this the end? In 10 years, are we going to have to pack up shop and just all go work and cost a coffee?
No, we're all going to adjust, aren't we?
I think even like the rules or regulations will adjust. If for whatever reason they can't get the infrastructure in place, then they'll push it back or they'll change it so that we can still use these petrol hybrids or diesel hybrids, because fundamentally the best of both worlds is, I think I'd say that we would all agree that for an A to B car, an electric car is absolutely fine.
Perfect.
Agreed.
Really
as long as we
chill.
can charge them regularly. Totally. Or the fuel cells. I saw my first fuel cell car at Toyota when I did the Yaris launch. We'll come back to that next week, Tony. They had a fuel cell car there. And it's super interesting, the fuel cell technology. So
if I knew that there was an electric car out there, and I don't like electric cars, but if I knew there was an electric car out there that would suit my demands of driving,
there is.
And no, there's not. There isn't, mate.
What is it?
He's just a hater because he hates electric cars.
No, he's going to say the Taycan.
Yep.
I'm not interested.
It's a great car.
It's not. It's
a
100
very
grand.
It ticks every box that you want, but you're just like, I just don't get it because it's electric.
No, it's not, because it's a pain in the ass to charge.
Because it's electric.
Because electric, it's a pain in the ass. And it's 100 grand. So I just drive around in a GTD or a Golf R for a third of the price. And if I run out of juice, I just petrol station 3 minutes.
So there you go. You just don't like the fact that it's electric. But it's the best electric car that ticks all the boxes that you want. It's a Porsche.
Because it's a Porsche, but it's not a proper Porsche, mate.
Because it's electric.
It's not a proper Porsche.
I like spinning them around.
I quite like the Taycan.
We all do, except Tony.
It's a modern car I don't really like.
But you say, if there was an electric car, I would take the Taycan thing because I am winding you up. GTE, Golf, electric Golf.
Cracking car.
That you love your Golfs, and it does everything that the Golf does. It's a little bit heavier.
Charged up in 3 minutes, like I could put petrol in it. I'd have one tomorrow.
Fine. So yeah,
Those don't charge up in 3 minutes, so you're living in dream world.
It's not practical for my life. Then I'm busy.
Yeah, superchargers need to be everywhere, and they need to be better.
Correct.
And I think the other problem, which bravo to my dad, he raised at the weekend. It's the rate of change of technology. If they bought out a Golf E tomorrow, that they said, okay, now we've got it, you can charge in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In a year's time, it will charge in 2, and then your 5-minute ones. No one wants it.
Correct.
The used cars will depreciate and become completely unusable.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people got terrified by with the i8.
Good point. Very, very good point. Where does this go? What does this mean?
Don't make that no more though, do they?
And therefore, will people actually buy new cars, or there's just going to be all these lease schemes? Is it going to be membership clubs?
I think it will be like what I'd like to see is you basically have a car and you pay for the usage of batteries. So you basically pull in like a pit stop, the battery comes out the bottom of the car, a sort of pre-charge one comes in, you just carry on driving off.
Which is kind of fuel cell technology, but you're right, where that's a nice way to moderate it. You kind of have
a subscription of transport. It's not like owning a car as we know today, but in the future, that's sort of what might take over.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be something. It's not. We're miles away. The infrastructure is miles away.
Battery tech is quite old.
Very old.
In general, I mean, it seems like a sort of backwards way of doing it all, but this is the way that we're headed. And you mentioned i8, BMW have now come with the first or the next i-car. It seems mad that they were at the forefront with i8 and i3 back in the early 10s? What would you call that?
Yeah.
And now it's been all this time, 7-8 years, until we've got the iX. So they've caught up, and this is a rival for what? Tesla Model X, and anyway, it's X5 size. And then it's called the latest tech in it, and it's called the iX. It's going to be going on sale.
They claim the battery's really good in that car as well, but they all claim that.
That's the thing you'd expect it to be. But what's weird with BMW is they were, so at the forefront with the i3 and the i8, and then they've taken all this time, and what they've brought out, it doesn't seem that revolutionary now. It's just like they're like having to catch up with everyone else. So I feel like it was a weird move by BMW there. Their hybrid stuff, I think, seems a lot more impressive than the full electric stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's in general with quite a lot of the manufacturers, like Mercedes, for example. I did some stuff with the GLE Coupe, which was a hybrid, and that was properly impressive. 100 kilometers in just the electric battery, and then like an additional 700 or whatever. So you could just cruise around forever.
Yeah, I think at that point it's kind of a bit more win-win, isn't it? The hybrids are the route that I'm excited by at the moment.
Yeah, because you can get the power, but then you can also get the range.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the way for now, at least.
And definitely on the performance side, I think.
Yeah. Maybe I'll put some batteries in my Lambo. That'd be cool.
Oh, God, here we go. I think that's a perfect time to wrap things up. It's been an interesting episode. I'm sorry about the rant at the beginning. Tony really riled me up there, and I knew he was going to do it, and I fell for it head first into his trap.
What we've agreed is that Lewis is the best, right?
Yeah, let's just... anyway. He's my favourite. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he's not.
He's my favourite.
Schumacher's still my favourite.
Is he?
Yeah, for me, it's always Schumacher. Yeah, it's Schumacher.
See, I don't really care.
It's because what I was going to say was when I came into Formula One as a sort of
new fan,
Schumacher was winning everything, so it was boring. So that's why I wanted like the Ralf Schumachers, I wanted the Juan Pablo Montoyas, because I was like, go. Ferrari's boring. Which I think now a lot of people coming into Formula One and seeing Lewis win everything is like...
Good point. I mean, but I can't believe we're going back to this now. The reason I got so angry ahead of today's podcast and then fell headfirst into Tony's trap is yesterday he was texting me saying, I didn't watch the race. It's boring. Hamilton's always going to win.
He watched all of it.
I watched all of it.
But yesterday
great race.
was well, you didn't say that yesterday, last night on the text. You were really winding me up. You were like, it's boring. Why would I watch it? Hamilton always wins. I don't bother watching it anymore.
I say it to him every week.
But how he won at that Turkish Grand Prix, unbelievable. And that's where he's a genius, because he shouldn't have. And it is boring, because if you were sitting at home and you didn't watch the race and you went onto Twitter and saw the result, you'd be like, well done, Perez. Otherwise, nothing surprising. But to watch the race, that's where he's a master. That's where he's a genius.
He knew what was going to happen to his tyres. He knew exactly what was going on.
He's a genius.
He knew, because as well, all he kept asking was about the weather.
Yeah.
What's the weather going to do? What's the weather going to do?
And he was dictating the strategy.
Dictating it.
And I think what's been made clear on Twitter, everyone who says, he's always in the best car, He lapped Bottas.
He's the best driver.
I mean, he lapped Bottas.
The best driver.
How
gets the
funny
best
was that
car.
blue flag?
I mean,
Bottas did
Bottas,
not want
yeah.
to get out of the way.
Bottas, go home. Anyway, sorry, because I know lots of you don't really like F1 and do get bored by the chat. I think we can do an F1 special again at the end of the year, maybe, because people did enjoy those, or the F1 fans enjoyed those. Tony, you're not invited for that one. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Paul, thank you very much for coming back, for stopping by. Of course, if you want to follow Paul's adventures, Supercars of London or Wallace PJW. Tony is at Tony Gravelwood Car Sales on Instagram. I am at Seen Through Glass, everywhere you can find us. And we'll be back with you next week for another episode. Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Wow.